Good evening, and welcome everybody to our San Francisco 49ers Live. How are we doing today? A busy day out on the media world. If you're thinking about the 49ers, the quarterback situation continues to be at the national spotlight. It's crazy how the media just attacks this quarterback situation. And it's because of the fact that we've had quarterback conundrums over the last several years. So we're going to talk about it. How's it going, everybody? You know, today was just crazy because Trey Lance was just lambasted by the media, and it's unfortunate. You knew it was coming. When he had a poor performance, media was going to come out and the outlash on him and attack him, and it's unfortunate. Whether you like him or not, I mean, the amount of criticism he gets, it's crazy. But I guess that comes with the fact that he is a number 3 pick in the NFL draft. They traded up a lot to get him, the 49ers being they. So I guess it comes with the territory. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Brock Purdy because yesterday we mentioned how Kyle Shanahan has, doubled down. But again, another excerpt from the SI article from Albert Breer came out, and Kyle Shanahan, he said it all offseason. Again, it wasn't surprising to me that Kyle Shanahan has had this, that Brock Purdy's QB1 because the whole offseason it was who's going to be quarterback one. Trey's in a battle. But Kyle said it very, 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 candidly to everybody this offseason that Brock's the guy, leader of the clubhouse. They just want to make sure he's healthy. And then over the last couple of days, right, we knew he was the best quarterback on the roster after 3 games. Like, that was a validation right there, right? Like, he is gushing about Brock. He's he figured out this is the guy, and he's giving him all the praise in the world. Like, it's a good thing in one way for Brock that he's getting the vote of confidence. Kyle's trying to, give him that mental edge and really give him that belief, because that's something he didn't really do with Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. Remember, we had a couple of years ago, we had, I don't know who's going to be alive on Sunday, right? We had the whole speech, the quote, I don't know who's going to be alive on Sunday. And last year is Trey going to be a starter? He goes, I haven't got to that point. I mean, he did say it was Trey Lance season last year, but that was in July, right before training camp. So it took him a little bit. They had to tell Jimmy, hey, you're not the guy. We tried to trade you, and then boom, crazy, they kept Jimmy to be the backup, right? The most expensive backup, like that whole story. But it took him a while to really commit to Trey, and they had to last year because of the fact of he traded up to get him and everything. But I mean, Kyle came out right away, and he basically said Brock's the guy, just has to stay healthy. Then again, yesterday, the quote was he was the best quarterback after 3 games, and then today, the article comes out. Another part of the article came out, and I posted it today on socials. And basically, Kyle said Brock Purdy would have to melt. He'd have to melt in practice for him to lose the quarterback 1 job. And he says he's pretty damn good, so he's not going to melt. And a couple of weeks ago, he says he's got the it factor. Like, we believe in him. He's the guy. He's the real deal. Like, all these big quotes. Like, he has said, something every week for the last month. Since Brock Purdy was cleared and he's back and he's thrown, he's the real deal. He has to melt in practice in order for him to lose his job. It took us only 3 games to know. So Kyle Shanahan is making it abundantly clear. And it's kind of, to me, and a lot of people are saying, oh, he made it clear last year. He hasn't. To me, Kyle Shanahan is making his presence felt and saying, this is my quarterback. He's standing by his guy because in past seasons, we've sat here, we've talked about, content creators have been live, and they've argued Kyle needs to just name a starter. He needs to name a starter. He needs to just stop playing games. And this year he's doing it. And now people don't like it. Debbie, exactly. So unusual for Kyle to be so vocal. Like, he always makes us sit on the edge of the seat, right? And remember how many times we've sat there and we've heard interviews where the media, Lombardi, Grant Cohn, et cetera, et cetera. So many people ask him the question, who's quarterback 1? Who's the starter? Do you have a starter? And Kyle's like, I'm not ready to announce that. I'm not ready to announce it. I can't tell you. I'm not ready to announce it. We've heard that many times. This year, clear as day, Brock Purdy. He's the real deal. It only took us 3 games to realize he's the best quarterback on the roster. He has to melt in order for him to lose his spot. Like, Kyle is making it clear. It's good for Brock, right? It's great for Brock that he's getting the vote of confidence. It's good for him mentally. Because what did we talk about with Trey Lance? He needs the vote of confidence. Every day last year, I sat here going, just give him the vote of confidence. And then he finally did, which was great. But now, for Trey Lance, it's kind of like the opposite. It's the opposite of a vote of confidence, right? It's the vote of not confidence, and it sucks, man. It does suck for Trey because he's basically kind of second fiddle, and now he's have to worry about Sam Darnold. He's peeking over his shoulder, and then that's again another mental aspect that Trey has to continue to battle through. You know, Trey Lance has had a lot of mental hurdles to overcome with the 49ers, and now he's in a position where we all know he's in a battle for QB2. And Sam Darnold, he doesn't really have pressure on his shoulders. He's coming in, he's the veteran, he's picking up the offense. There's no pressure for him to go out there. He knew he was a backup. Like, he knew he came in to be a backup. There's literally no pressure for Sam Darnold, and there's absolutely an immense amount of pressure for Trey Lance. So it's tough. You know, he was the number 3 pick in the draft. They traded up to get him, and now, you know, coming off of a big injury last year after being the starter and now losing his job to Brock Purdy, he's peeking behind the shoulder to keep this QB2 job. It's not guaranteed that he's going to be QB2. And now the media, as they do, is just lambasting Trey Lance. TJ Hushmanzada, Emmanuel Acho, and LaShawn McCoy came out today. You guys saw the video, and they just ate him up. They roasted him and says he doesn't belong in the NFL. Akko pulled out the film and showed how he should have, made a different pass than the out. And they said, because he's not reading the defense. I think at one point he says he's basically lining up, snapping, closing his eyes, opening it. And then when he snaps the ball, he's so afraid because he's like, doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't understand the play. He's not breaking it down. And a lot of people criticize Akko and said that's too rude. I kind of agree because he's not reading the plays. He's not making the full assessment. He's not, and it's a basic thing. And again, he needs the development. And we love Trey Lance in terms of his character, personality, but he does need the development. And 49ers are not a team that can just waste time on developing a guy. If I'm Trey, and I said this, ask for a trade, man. Go to a team where you can get those reps and develop and learn those basic concepts. He didn't have a lot of college experience, and now he's trying to kind of catch up with the NFL. He's behind the 8 ball. And it's unfortunate for Kyle. But I wasn't mad at Akko. I was mad at LaShawn McCoy and everybody else just like throwing the dirt on the fire, throwing fuel to the fire. They were just going in on him, and it was kind of nasty. And then Michael Lombardi. To me, the one that was really bad today was Michael Lombardi. Like this one really kind of ruffled my feathers around. Like, I get it. If you're going to break the film down and show, things of why he was wrong. And then QB School, who's the guy on QB School? I saw his film breakdown. I can't think of I'm losing my train of thought. The guy's name, who's the guy that does the QB School. His film breakdown was great. It basically said what people, the criticism of him holding the ball too long, not getting the ball out quick enough. That was good. But Michael Lombardi, he says when his mom, this is what he said about Trey Lance. Like, this is just a shot towards him. This was just personal. This one was like the absolute worst because, again, I get it. You may not like him. You may not think he's a good player or quarterback or whatever the case is, but he kind of went personal. He says, this is what he said. He goes, if a play does, he goes, when his mom lifted him up from the crib, he didn't have the QB instinct. When his mom lifted him up from the crib, he didn't have the QB instinct. He won't win the backup QB spot based on what I've seen and heard. Like, that's a personal thing. That's kind of unprofessional. That was tough, man. He basically says he was not born to be a quarterback, and that sucks, man. I get it. He doesn't like him, but to take a shot at someone like that's low blow. You're not just born with being a quarterback or not. You can learn it, and that's a whole different story. Like, nobody's just born with being a quarterback. It's crazy. But I do feel that a lot of the criticism of him, holding the ball, not being able to read before the line comes, before the play is snapped, at the line, pre-snap read, and going through his progressions. That's a justified, critique, and it's seen in the film. He's inconsistent. Sometimes he can't, but again, it's just an inconsistency. The game is not slowed down for him, and I feel bad for Trey because he needs that time. But his growth was stunted. We said this before from the injuries. You can't really develop if you're not on the field, right? So it's tough, man. It's a tough situation because nobody wants to see Trey get traded and succeed. If you're a fan of the Niners, because at the end of the day, you're like, damn, why wouldn't he pan out with the Niners? But then again, you do want to see him succeed because he's a good young man and he's deserves a chance to shine in this league. And again, if he goes somewhere and he was to succeed, man, that'd be great for him mentally. But then if he goes somewhere and he gets an opportunity and he fails, then I think for him mentally, he'll get some clarity. Like, maybe he'll be like, yeah, man, I got my opportunity. I tried it and it just wasn't it. I wasn't the guy. Maybe I am not fit to be in the NFL. But I think he doesn't know that. And I think he needs that mental clarity to know if he's really it or not, because I don't think he's going to get that in a 49ers uniform, unfortunately, because the 49ers rocking with Brock, right? And I think they're okay with Sam Darnold being QB2. Now, the other question is, how is Brock going to be able to survive and get through the season? Can the O-line protect him and keep him healthy? I don't know. That's the big question. That's the big if. And we know Kyle Shanahan's track record with quarterbacks has been kind of murky, right? I love Brock. Kyle loves him, and he's his guy, and he's riding with them, right? Like he said, he knew he was the guy after 3 games. He's got a melt in practice. He's got it. Like, that quote was crazy to me. I was like, damn, man, Kyle really just doubling down to say that. To say there's no way in hell this man is going to not be our quarterback unless he melts in practice. Crazy. That was a crazy quote. But the whole point of it is he is so behind Brock that if he gets hurt, is Trey Lance going to be able to come in and control this offense? Or, again, we don't know, because mentally we don't know where Trey Lance is. It's tough. Mentally, he's not there. And if the 49ers do get rid of Trey Lance, you got Sam Darnold. Do we believe enough in Sam Darnold? I don't know if I do, but Kyle Shanahan sure does. Kyle Shanahan does. Randy says, Lowell Cone just demolished Trey. Add that to the mix. The media is cooking Trey, man. Everybody's taking shots. And a lot of it is, again, this is what I say all the time, and you can believe me or not. A lot of it is, okay, you look on sports, you type in a player's name, there's trending topics, and it's a trending topic, and they know, if I use something on Trey Lance, the algorithm's going to pick it up. This is just social media 101 from my end. I'm a big social media guy. You type in a trending player's name or a trending topic, it's going to get the views. So if you talk on it, people are going to, no matter what, they're going to get views on it, whether it's positive or negative. Now, the more negative it is on something, it gets more reposts. People that are opposed to that opinion, they're going to post it on their socials, and it's going to keep buzzing. And then it becomes a bigger trending topic. So let's take a look. On Twitter, we type in Trey Lance. I mean, man, it's everywhere. Look at this. Look at this. It's all over the place. All over the place. You know, the QB school, right? We got that trending. We got NFL rumors. We got everybody's posting on Trey Lance. Just, you go down the list. It's just nonstop. So his name is getting clicks and views. So that's another part of this is people got to talk about something. It's a trending topic. If you're covering the NFL and you're making your money off of it, you got to talk about these topics. And Trey Lance is a very polarizing subject right now, and people are going at it, man. And the more negative you are, the more views you're going to get. But I think a lot of it's not just attacking him. There are people that are just attacking him to attack him, which is unfair. That's what I don't like. But there are people that are backing it up with film. And when you look at the film, it's like, dang, man, it's unfortunate. But he's young. He's only played, 5 games NFL career? It's hard to sit there and judge that he's like the worst player in 5 games. But he doesn't look, like a number 3 pick in 5 games based on the film. And again, it's unfortunate he hasn't had many opportunities because of the injuries. Like, we don't, like, what if, let's go back, let's take a time machine. Come with me, strap on your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. Time machine, let's go. We are setting the coordinates, 2022. We are back in 2022, guys. Guess what? Trey Lance is starting today against the Seattle Seahawks. I'm hyped up. Let's go. Fast forward to the game. 49ers just beat the Seahawks. Oh, Trey Lance throws 3 touchdowns. Let's fast forward a little bit more into the season. The 49ers went to the Super Bowl behind Trey Lance. Like, what if he started the whole season and he was successful? It changes everything. But he wasn't. And he got hurt. And the whole story has changed because he didn't get to develop because of that injury. That moment right there shifted the whole story of Trey Lance's career, his whole life. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But now the media is going to rip them apart every chance they get. And then again, a lot of it's unjust, like the Michael Lombardi. We got to get back to the future. Hold up. We can put the coordinates back in 2023. We need to go back to Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. Come with me. Okay. You like that? We went on a little time trip there. We got to do that a little bit more. A little time trip. But no, let's get back to reality here. It's unfortunate for him because the media is going to just eat him up. And again, Michael Lombardi coming at him, and he says, when his mom lifted him up from the crib and he didn't have the ability to play quarterback in him, that was just a shot, man. Yeah, I feel bad, Randy, too. It's it's unfortunate, but he has no choice whatsoever than to answer the call. He has to go out there and prove himself. That at this point, like, there's no more excuses. He has to go out there and put good film on tape. He has to go out there and be better than what he's had. He's got to, show the critics he's wrong. You can't just talk. He talks a good talk. He's great in the pressers, but now he's got to go and put it on the field. But mentally, it's tough for him to overcome. And that's the hurdle. But in life, you're going to be dealt with a lot of different cards in your life. You're going to be dealt with a lot of adverse situations, and now it's up to him to rise above, right? He's a 23-year-old man. Now he's got to face this adversity and come above it. I've been faced with a lot of adversity in my life. Sometimes I've been sitting there and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. But you have to dig deep. It's hard, man. It is very tough sometimes in certain situations of life. And everybody has moments in their life. And maybe it's just not football. It's anything. Like, I'm sure everybody in here has had tough moments in their life that they'd have to overcome. This is one of Trey Lance's. And now we have to see how he responds to this adverse situation. Can he bounce back? I hope so. Because I like the guy. Again, he's a great person. He's a great personality, humble young man. I feel like he has a great head on his shoulder. He has some talent, but he's still got to put it all together. Like, again, as a Niner fan, I like Brock Purdy. I like Trey Lance. Like, I don't hate them. It's crazy because there's people that can't accept that you could like both quarterbacks, and I love them both. But at the end of the day, as a person that wants to see this team succeed, you need the best player out there. And if Kyle believes Brock Purdy is the best player out there, then he's the best player out there because Kyle believes in him, and that's what you need. You need the belief of your coaching staff, and Brock Purdy has it. I don't think Trey Lance has that for whatever reason. And Kyle has never had that belief that Trey is that guy, in my opinion. I don't know if he's ever said that. I don't know. I can't, exactly examine what Kyle thinks. That's just my guess on the situation. That's my read on the situation. I don't feel like Kyle ever believed that he could lead this offense. Like, not yet. Maybe one day he could have. Again, if you would have had a great season last year, but I don't think Kyle believed he was that guy. And again, based off what he said, I think that's a true statement because, again, he said that Brock Purdy proved in 3 games he's the best quarterback on this roster. In 3 games? That's crazy. And again, Kyle Shanahan made Jimmy Garoppolo the highest paid quarterback after a 5-game stretch in 2017. So Kyle Shanahan's a quick study. And he, in 3 games, he believed Brock was the guy. And that tells me that he didn't believe in Trey last year with what he saw. And when he came in, and when Brock Purdy came in and he did what he did, Kyle was like, I've seen enough. He's the guy. He anointed him to start it. He also said in that article, or it was also said in the article that Kyle said by the end of the season, he already knew he was the starter. And he said that this year, right? That's the thing that is really what we have to take away. Kyle Shanahan has come out this whole offseason, and he stood behind Brock Purdy. He stood behind Brock Purdy. While everybody was trying to get their stories, their clicks, their YouTube shows popping because they're thinking there's a battle, Kyle told us. So I'm not surprised. Now, did I want Trey to get an opportunity to take that from Brock? Yeah, because we all wanted Trey to succeed. We all wanted him to see if he could take the reins because he was drafted in number 3. And that whole draft that year was crazy because we came off a Super Bowl. We lost. Everybody blamed it on Jimmy. He was the scapegoat. The whole, overthrow of Sanders. And we were sick. We were tired. So they drafted the quarterback because that's all we want. Every Niner fan was like, they need to get a quarterback. They got the quarterback. We wanted to see that quarterback. But it didn't happen the way we thought it should, right, as fans. And then shift to this year, you're like, okay, maybe we can get that guy out there and he can seize the moment and get the moment that we thought he was going to have 3 years ago. But what happened was last year, in between all of that, this guy Brock Purdy came out of nowhere and he played his ass off and he proved himself. And that was his adversity. Brock Purdy faced adversity when nobody believed in him. Nobody thought he was going to make the roster. They had Nate Sudfeld, right? Paid him $2 million. And I remember everybody sitting here, there's no way Nate Sudfeld doesn't make the roster. And guess what? There was no way that Nate Sudfeld made the roster. Brock Purdy snuck on, which was telling. That was like, dang, okay, this guy really made the roster over Sudfeld, who they guaranteed $2 million. Brock waited. He waited. Unfortunately, there was injuries. And when he came in, he proved himself to Kyle. I don't care if he proved himself to you or me or your mom or your grandma. He proved himself to Kyle. And in this team, it's led by Kyle. And that's who has to believe in. So that's the whole story. Throwback. Oh, yeah. What do I think about what Michael Lombardi said to Trey Lance? We were talking about that. Like, that was again, I have no problem with Samuel Acco and what he said. He showed the game film, like he showed it. He backed it up with what he saw on tape. So I respect that. And the QB school, they showed what they saw on film. Like he backed it up with the film. But man, Mike Lombardi, that was, to me, it was just a personal attack. To say that he lifted him up out of his mom lifted him out of the crib, and he didn't have the ability to play quarterback. Like that was a nasty, unprofessional, just dig. That was a dig. To me, that was a dig to Trey Lance. That's kind of like when Colin Cowherd called him out, because we all know the story between Trey Lance and Colin Cowherd. Apparently, he dated Cowherd's daughter and didn't work out, and after that, Cowherd turned on him. Like Michael Lombardi, I think, has been so mad because he predicted it was going to be Mac Jones. Kyle Shanahan has Mac Jones. He's going to draft him. You guys are so stupid. It's going to be Mac Jones. And Kyle did want Mac Jones, but he didn't draft him. Like there was between Trey and Mac. We've heard the interviews. We've heard Kyle Shanahan tell the story. And I think ever since then, Mike Lombardi has been personally against the 49ers because of that fact, because it made them look stupid, because everybody clowned him. They had the receipts. Like he got retweeted. He got quote tweeted. He got put on like freezing cold takes. He was I'm pretty sure I tweeted him and keep the receipts. I'm sure every big Niner creator did. They laughed at him. He was a laughingstock. So now he's taking digs at Trey Lance. And again, if you back it up with tape and you have an opinion, I don't think it's wrong. But the way that Mike Lombardi went about it, and he personally attacked him, and he just took a dig at him. I didn't like it. I didn't like it, man. I didn't like it. Yeah. Lombardi is hot dog water. I agree. Mike Lombardi. Let's see. Let's take some of these questions. How's everybody doing? I've rambled enough. Let's see what you guys have to say. Let's see. There are a lot of comments. Woo! What's up? Rick Diaz says the offensive line has got to protect their quarterback throughout the season. If they don't, we are in trouble. That is true. Rick, ain't no doubt about that. This offensive line better protect Brock Purdy. But I'm okay with the starters. I think the starters are good. But the problem is, can they stay healthy? The NFL is tough. Every team gets through injuries, and unfortunately, it's part of the game. And if there's an offensive line injury, I, for one, am a little scared for one of these guys coming in and taking snaps on the starting O-line. So let's pray and hope that these offensive linemen starters stay healthy. Julia says, I think an ideal spot for Trey to get a fresh start is Atlanta, Washington, Minnesota, which are all good opportunities for him. Maybe even the Buccaneers. There's definitely opportunities out there for quarterbacks. Everybody salivates for a quarterback. But I feel like right now, if Trey Lance doesn't have 2 good preseason games, his trade value is not going to be where it's the peak value. So if the 49ers do ultimately want to trade him, they got to hope that Trey Lance shows out these next 2 games. But it's tough, again, because injuries do happen in the NFL. We don't know 100% if Trey Lance or Brock Purdy is going to be that guy that he was last year. I think Peter Parker says it could be a one-year wonder. It could be a fluke. I hope it's not, but you just never know. We don't have crystal balls. We can't look into the future and see what's going to happen and how Brock's going to pan out. He does look like he has a lot of seasoning on him. He looked good last year, and I think because of the fact he played 4 years in college, a big power school, I think that helped him. We all know that. We all feel that way about Brock, and I think that's going to help continue him. But in college, he didn't have a torn UCL that he was recovering from, so we got to keep that in mind. This is a big injury. How is he going to respond this year with the injury? Will he get fatigued down the line after 8 games, 9 games? Is his arm going to be tired, after a couple of games? So people aren't talking about that enough. The recovery from this injury is something that's not talking about. People are just saying, oh, he's back out there, no restrictions, great. Oh, my God, he's back. Brock Purdy's him. And nobody's talking about is in 9 weeks, is he going to hit a snag? Is he going to be tired? Is he going to have arm fatigue? It's a real deal. Like last year, Drake Jackson couldn't make it through 12 games because he was not in, form to get past that many games because that's all he played in college. Now, Brock Purdy, he's never had this injury before. How's he going to repeat? How's he going to repeat if he can't get through 9, 10, 12 games? We don't know. I'm just saying, but that's something we have to keep in mind. It's a real situation. So Peter Parker says, this whole Trey tenure has been awful. I feel so bad for the kid. He's getting roasted everywhere, probably whispers in the locker room, but mad props for him showing up to work. 100%. I respect the hell out of him for keeping his head on his shoulders and getting through this. It's got to be tough. I feel bad for the kid, for the young man. I shouldn't say kid. He's a young man. I feel bad for him. But again, it's adversity. Everybody goes through it. We got to see how he pushes through it. That is life. it's going to be filled with adversity, and I hope and pray that he can push through this and continue to rise above it. Steve-O, appreciate you, man. Love the YouTube shows. I'm glad you do. I know we're not as big as a lot of other people on YouTube. I know I kind of stepped away from the YouTube platform, and I don't push it as much, but I do love the YouTube format. I love hopping on here. Hopefully the channel can continue to grow. I just want more people to watch so we can talk. I love the flow of the show, so appreciate you, man. The YouTube's fun. It's definitely fun. Randy says JT O'Sullivan. That's the one I was thinking. I couldn't think of his name. The QB school. Man, his film review was spot on. It was good. Like, I can't even hate that guy. Like, again, I know people have been roasting him, but JT came with the film. He came with the facts, and he showed a really good, assessment on Trey Lance, and it was honest, and you have to respect the hell out of it because he broke the film down. He knows what he's talking about. I love his film reviews, and he was honest, and a lot of it is what he said was Trey's holding the ball a lot. He's got to get those passes out quicker, and yes, the offensive line was broken down around him and he had a lot of pressure, but just was a little timid to get that ball out. So yeah, JT O'Sullivan, man, I don't think he roasted him. I just think he showed he showed the film and he backed up everything he said with what was on tape, and that's all we have to go by, and I respect it. If you're going to come out and call out Trey and take a personal dig out of him, that's a whole different story than coming out, showing film, and backing up what you're saying with the tape there. You know what I mean? Like, there were some good moments for Trey in that game. It wasn't like it was all disaster. Once he got his rhythm, once he kind of got some protection and he felt more comfortable, he was throwing some nice passes. But it takes him time to get to that point. And again, he's a rhythm guy. I think we've established that he's a rhythm quarterback. So it's unfortunate. Isaac says, can you give a birthday shout out to Elise Ortiz? She's in the car with me listening to the live. Shout out to Elise Ortiz. Happy birthday. I hope you have a good ass birthday. Leo season. My daughter's birthday was yesterday. You guys are Leos. Shout out to the Leos. I got a lot of people that are in my life that are Leos. Shout out to Elise Ortiz. I like that name. It rhymes. Elise Ortiz. Happy birthday. I hope you have a good ass day. I hope you had a good celebration. Hope you got a lot of gifts. A lot of good food. Happy birthday. Charlie Higgs says, I don't understand why everyone is salivating over Fields. There are questions about him as well. I agree. Justin Fields, to me, hasn't really proven much. I mean, I know he has a fancy stat line the other day, but they're all dump offs. I mean, but that's the 49ers offense. Dump it off. You let the yak guys do it, and that's what Fields did. But he's a great runner, and people see him, and he makes flashy plays. Like, he's made some flashy plays. Like Mike Vick, when he was in the league, when he was dancing and he was running, and it was great for your fantasy team, you love Mike Vick. And people are in this age of fantasy football. And if you can put points on the board and score a lot of points, you're going to make people happy because of fantasy football. But in terms of throwing the ball, he's still got a lot of questions. I like Justin Fields coming out of college, which is crazy because I actually hate Ohio State quarterbacks, but I liked Justin Fields. I thought the Niners were going to draft him. I thought they should have drafted him. I remember I was a Fields hype beast, but I feel like a lot of people praise Justin Fields because of the fact that he's going to score a lot of touchdowns and help their fantasy team win. I honestly think that's why people love him. I don't think he's even a top 10 quarterback in terms of throwing. He's going to put up a lot of stats, and that's going to make people say he is because of the fact that he's just going to run the ball. He's going to get the ball distributed to those playmakers, and they're going to do the rest of the work. But, in terms of throwing, he was one of the lowest rated actual throwers in the league in the quarterback categories. But he's a fun player to watch. That guy can run the ball, and he can make a highlight reel. That's why people salivate about him, I think, Charlie. That's my take on it. Boy, man, he's a hell of a fantasy quarterback. Breezy says he would have been better in our offense. Oh, come on. If that's all you got to do is distribute the ball to these yak guys, the Niners have the yak offense. You give it to Debo, you give it to Kittle, you give it to CMC, Brandon. And that's why I said when this whole draft story was going on a couple years ago, I was like, Justin Fields with these guys, all he would have to do is rush off to the side and dump it off. Boom. It would be easy money. Fields holds the ball too long. Kyle prefers guys to get the ball out of their hands quick. Yeah, and that's what Kyle wants. He wants you to make that quick read. And I feel like that's why Trey, again, which JT O'Sullivan said is he doesn't get the ball out quick enough. He holds the ball, and that's why he gets these sacks. It's a lot of times he's just indecisive. And you're absolutely right, Charlie, is Kyle wants you to get the ball out quick. And then as much as people criticize Jimmy Garoppolo, what was his best attribute as a quarterback? Quick release, quick draw Jimmy. Like he would snap the ball, boom, less than 3 seconds, 2 seconds, snap the ball, he'd make that read and go. And everybody saw he's a first read quarterback. That's the offense. He knew where Debo was going to be. He knew where Kittle was going to be. He knew where that guy who's supposed to split up the middle and take it for big yardage, like Jimmy knew where that guy was supposed to be, and he would look for him. Now, sometimes it would make bad, for the team, because if teams caught on to it, like, oh, he's just going down the middle for the quick, intermediate pass to let the Yak brothers do their work, we're going to pick him off. So Jimmy couldn't test the field deep, and that was his limitation. Is if he would have had a deep pass, whole different story, because he had that quick release over the middle, intermediate, slant god type, throw. Like Jimmy could do that. He can get rid of the ball fast, but he couldn't throw it deep. So he couldn't keep defenses on their heels. He couldn't, he couldn't trick them out. If Jimmy didn't have the threat of that deep ball, if Jimmy would have had a threat of the deep ball, game over, he's the guy. It would have been a whole different story. But he didn't have that threat of the deep ball. He was limited. But Kyle still, even if he has that threat of the deep ball, got to get rid of the ball fast. So, yeah, 100%, Charlie. It's a good point. That's it. The Fields on the Niners would be scared. Chris Conley wide open on the first play, wide open QB school. Again, yeah, there was players that were open. There were players that were open throughout that game. So again, JT O'Sullivan killed it on the film, man. Respect to him. Yak is so good. Gotta love it. Yaggity, Yak, Bell, Debo, CMC, Ayuk, Kittle, Ray. Woo! Yak guy. Yo, Ronnie, shout out to Ronnie Bell. I like how Randy put Bell in that mix. Ronnie Bell's a baller, man. Ronnie Bell's a baller. I love the guy. I love him. I know it's one game, but his stock is rising. He was happy, man. I saw his interview today, and he said how he was just feeling comfortable, and he can't wait to continue to go out there again and get better. I like Ronnie Bell's vibe, man. He's going to be a good pick. Like, he's a 7th-round player, but he probably should have been a 5th-round pick. Like, he was good in college, man. I watched him so much. It's just that he had an injury, and then he had to come back last year. He had an injury, extra year of eligibility because of injury, so he felt like he should come back and better himself. I love that guy. He was a captain on Michigan. That was a great team, and he was a baller, man. He was a good player. Good route running. He's physical. He does what the coach wants him to do. He's good hands, and the thing about it is he's physical, right? And that's what Kyle wants. He wants a guy that's going to block. No block, no rock, right? We've all heard about that. He's like Juwan Jennings. To me, he's going to be the replacement of Juwan Jennings, man. I absolutely love Ronnie Bell, man. Charlie says Kruger sold you on Bell back in the OTAs. Yeah, dude. We talked about him a lot. I remember I was talking to Krugs a lot this offseason, and we would sit there before we'd get on stream, and we'd just sit there and chat it up. And he told me so many good stuff about Ronnie Bell, and I was like, well, that's good to hear, because I'm a big Ronnie Bell guy, just because I watched a lot of Michigan, and I knew he'd be good, but I didn't know he'd be this good this fast. Like, he caught on quickly. Quick study. What's good, Flood? What's up, man? Cold-blooded, Kyler Murray, Justin Fields, Jackson aren't winning your chips. They're winning you fantasy chips. Nothing beats the system quarterback Joe, Tom, Ben, Manning, Patrick Mahomes. No running, scrambling. Yeah, no, I mean, running quarterbacks have their limits, and they're easier to get hurt. I kind of agree with that. Running quarterbacks are going to be great for your fantasy team. But I will say Patrick Mahomes he's definitely the type of quarterback that can do both. But he's not going to run first, because he could pass. But he has that escapability, man. Patrick Mahomes is just a crazy mix. He's a crazy mix. It's like Steve Young back in the day. The guy would throw it. He had the short game. He had the deep game. But boy, he could run, man. It's so funny because there's people that call Steve Young the white Mike Vick. He was Mike Vick before Mike Vick was even Mike Vick. He was Steve Young. I feel like Mike Vick was the second coming of Steve Young, right? Like, because Steve Young was a bad dude. That's my favorite player of all time. That dude was a bad dude. He would just dice you up, and then he'd run on you, scramble, dice you up. I love Steve Young, but yeah, he was a man. Yokito Ronnie Bell. Oh, God, we are using that in a caption this week. We are tweeting that. That is, Randy, that might be oh, my God. Ronnie Bell has so many good puns, but that might have just taken the cake. Yokito Ronnie Bell. I fucking love it. Randy's the man. That was good. Oh man, that was good. Julius says 3 firsts might seem a lot to give up in 2021. Technically, it was the 12th pick in 2021, 29th pick, and 2022 and 2023, basically an early first. I mean, yeah, when you look at it, when you look at everything, it ended up. I mean, it's not as crazy as it was because that's what you do to get up to a top tier quarterback in the league. Because that's what people have done over the last couple of years to trade up. I mean, they give up that, but if you really think about it, it was a late first round pick. But Miami still got a lot of talent out of it. They ended up getting Jalen Waddle, who's a monster, and a couple other great players. So I feel the Niners still took an L because Trey Lance hasn't developed into the guy we thought he would be with the number 3 pick. But yeah, if you really think about it, it's not like 49ers gave him like 3 top 3 picks because they were late end first round picks, which at the end of the day is because the 49ers were able to do good. But then it goes against, then you have to think about it is why did the 49ers give them really late picks? Because they had a good team. So then the argument is why would they take a developing quarterback with a win now roster? And I think that's why Kyle was so struggling during the fact of that draft of, man, I really wanted to pick Mac. And I think he really, really, really wanted Mac Jones because he was pro ready. And that was the argument is Mac Jones was pro ready. He could come in, he'd pick up the system, he'd try to run it well. And I think Kyle was a fan of that. He wants that quick release, pro ready guy that he wouldn't have had to really develop. And I think in hindsight, Kyle probably is upset he didn't take Mac Jones. But again, I don't think he was worth a number 3 pick. So Kyle, again, he even said it. He goes, you don't trade up to get the guy that we're taking for because Trey had a high ceiling. And we knew Mac Jones, he was going to be where he's at. Like, Mac Jones isn't going to be this unbelievable, crazy, talented guy, but he's going to be able to run your system, game manage, and he was pro ready. But in my opinion, and I've said this before, I feel John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan were on opposite sides of the fence. I think John Lynch wanted Trey Lance, and it was a John Lynch pick. I think at that draft, it was John Lynch's decision to make that pick, in my opinion. And Kyle didn't get the guy he wanted. I feel like if it was absolutely up to him, he would have taken Mac. I really do. Ronnie answers the bell. That was good too, Gio. There's too many good ones. There's too many good ones. We didn't lose anything since the trade. Yeah, that's true. I mean, we still almost made it to the Super Bowl, so honestly, we're doing pretty good. That's a good point. If you really think about it, the 49ers have still almost made it to the Super Bowl. Flood says, I hope I don't see CMC at all this preseason. Yeah, keep him on ice. Keep that man on ice until the regular season. Oh, man. Randy says, people pointing out BA was in Kyle's doghouse and now he's a beast. Maybe Trey will emerge. I don't know, man. I know Kyle's tough on players, and sometimes he gives them tough love to push them and get the most out of them. But Brandon, I think Kyle knew if he would have put him in a certain position, he was going to bounce out of that that position and become a superstar because Brandon was like on the cusp. That first year, his rookie season, it was good. It was good, but it wasn't amazing. It wasn't great. And then that second year, though, he had high expectations. He came into camp a little injured, a little banged up. He wasn't meeting expectations. He kind of started slow. Kyle got on him, put him in the doghouse, right, so to speak. And then he figured it out. I remember that interview, and we talk about this a lot on here, that Brandon Ayuk basically said, man, I never had anybody tell me that I wasn't great. Every coach told me, you're the best, you're the greatest, you're the best. And Kyle told him, you could be better. And that woke him up, and he was like, damn, I could be better. And I think that really pushed him to be better. Some people can respond to that. Some people, you push them, and it makes them like a light bulb click. But some people can't respond to that kind of tough love. And I don't know if Trey can or can't. I feel like, he's, from what I said earlier, never really been, in my opinion, respected by this team or the coaches from day one. Again, he comes in. It had to be awkward for him coming in. The team loved Jimmy Garoppolo. Whether you like him or not, the team loved Jimmy Garoppolo. And now you're getting this young, he was a 21-year-old young man, 21 years old, coming in. He's going to take over the quarterback, this grown-ass man who just went to the Super Bowl with this squad, with this team. They were a group. They were a unified group. Whether you like Jimmy or not, they loved him because he was part of that unit, that group, that family that went to a Super Bowl. Now you got this hotshot 20-year-old kid. I'm pretty damn sure there was a lot of drama in that locker room. It was probably some heads turned, some side eye. I'm sure they liked him. I'm sure they were very genuine when they said he's a good young man. We love Trey. We like the guy. I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. But at the end of the day, it must have been awkward for everybody that day. It was weird. It was for that year. It was weird. Trey came into a weird ass situation, man. I don't think he really got the mental push that he needed. He never got the support from day one. That's just my thing. And then mentally, for a 20-year-old man, 20-year-old young guy, you need that mental stability. I don't think he ever got it. So, see, this is my take, and a lot of people don't agree with this. The Niners dropped the ball from the beginning. Should have done what the Colts did with Richardson. Absolutely agree. I got flamed that year because I remember saying it. Me, Smitty, we were here. We kept saying it. Start Trey from the jump. You gotta get rid of Jimmy. And that was a controversial topic because I get it. A lot of people loved him, and it wasn't that I didn't like the guy. And I respected everything Jimmy helped this team do. He changed the culture. But if you are already telling you're going to get rid of Jimmy, at that you have to do it. You have to do it whether you like it or not. It's a tough decision. It was a tough choice to make the trade in the first place. You nutted up to do that. Now you need to sack up and get his ass out of there so you can give this kid the development. I agree wholeheartedly. And I know some people say, oh, well, a lot of quarterbacks, they got to, develop behind a guy. They got to develop behind a guy. Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers did it. Not all the time. Nowadays, it's a whole new era. It's a whole new era. You have to let these young bucks develop. It's a whole new era. I feel it. I feel like that would have been the right thing. Because if you already were saying you're giving up on Jimmy, if you already told yourself that you're giving up on Jimmy Garoppolo, why the hell did you keep him? Get it out of him. Give him an opportunity to go somewhere else and succeed. The same situation that I feel like we're in now with Trey Lance. Give him an opportunity to go and succeed now. Trade him. Trade Trey Lance. Free Trey. Let him succeed somewhere, Kyle. Because obviously Kyle Shanahan is not going to let Trey Lance play unless Brock Purdy gets hurt. And we don't want that. Just let Trey Lance go and succeed. Just like he should have let Jimmy Garoppolo. Should have cut the leash and let him go. And if he fails, he fails. If he succeeds, he succeeds. But Kyle doesn't want to see someone else make his guy succeed instead of him. Kyle wants to have the credit because he's got the ego, man. It's tough. I don't know. Charlie says, you put the best players on the field. I think it's obvious that Lance really wouldn't have been ready back then. He wouldn't have. You probably would have. The players wouldn't have liked it. But the fact they drafted him at that moment, to me, and I absolutely get this argument because he wasn't ready back then. But now he's still, 3 years later, he's still not ready. He's still not ready. So if you were going to draft him, you at that point, okay, you didn't win a Super Bowl that year. I know you got close. You have to take a year of development. You have to have a development year. And I know last year was supposed to, and he got hurt. The injury, again, we talked about this earlier. The injury screwed everything up in this whole scenario. But at that point, when you were telling everybody that you're getting rid of Jimmy at that point, get rid of him. Patriots did it with Cam Newton. I don't know. That's my take on it. I'm going to agree or disagree, and I get it. They should have put the best players on the field. But if he needed to develop, you had to let him develop. They should have just let him develop. It would have been a development year. Whether we make it to the playoffs or not, it's 2 years ago. We would have been over it by now. We would have been over it by now. So it's tough, man. It's better to start him than rather than now. Yeah. Cone conspiracy channel, man. What cone conspiracy? I'm not conspiring about anything. We could have carried a veteran backup back then. We could have got Sam Darnold back then. We could have got Sam Darnold back then. We could have got somebody. But, yeah, it's unfortunate how things have panned out. But, hey, guess what? Why are we complaining? We got Brock Purdy, baby. He's healthy. Kyle Shanahan said it took him 3 games to find out he's the best quarterback on the roster. And the only way that he's not going to make this team as QB1 is if he melts. That's some Wizard of Oz type shit. I was dying. When I saw that quote this morning, I was like, did he just say that he has to melt? I pictured in my mind, I read that quote while I was about to post it. I read it, and I pictured Brock Purdy melting like the Wizard of Oz. I swear to God, I shit you not. In my mind, I was picturing I'm melting like the Wicked Wizard, like the Wicked Witch on the Wizard of Oz. That's exactly how I pictured it. And in my mind, I'm pretty sure that's how Kyle pictured it because he's a weird ass dude. I guarantee you, he probably in his mind was like, "Oh, it's like it's like the Wizard of Oz. If he melts, it's like, if he melts, he won't be caught." Who says that? Who says if he melts? If he melt, like I was like, what did you just say, Kyle? If he melts, I know it's hot out there. I know it's very hot out there. I've been to those training camp practices. You ain't gonna melt out there. You know, you might feel like you're melting, but that was a funny quote, man. But that's Kyle. Kyle's a quote machine. God, Kyle, God, man, some of the quotes he says, like I could probably make a book out of all the quotes. Yeah, see, Flood says Kyle is so weird with his quotes. I don't know if anyone will be alive on Sunday. You got, I mean, fucking Kyle, man. We need to come up with all the quotes that Kyle has said. Because this man is a quote machine. This guy's a quote factory. Like Charlie, he's a quote factory. I can't. When Kyle's up there sometimes, I'm like ready. I'm ready. I'm like, oh, what's he going to say today? What's the quote today? He is crazy. Fucking crazy sometimes. I just. Randy says, I can't wait till Kyle is an old analyst. I swear, some of the stuff he's going to say is going to be great. Like, he's going to be good for TV. Mario says, the O-line played like today. I heard, yeah, I've heard per sources. Let's just hope they clean it up, man. O-line was garbage. Like, let's be real. O-line was bad. We saw it. We saw it with our own eyes. The O-line was bad last week. They were bad in training camp. I sat here and told you every day I went that they were bad. But it's not surprising they played bad this week because they were awful in training camp. So they gotta figure it out. It's not like everybody has star O linemen at every position and everybody backup is star. Like I'm sure other teams have just garbage O linemen, but we expected more for these backups because the whole point is if these starters go down and we have to rely on these backups, I'm not too confident. Hot. It was 80 degrees at 3 a.m. here, and 80 degrees at 3 a.m. That's like Vegas. I used to live in Vegas. You would wake up to 90 degrees. You would wake up to 95, maybe 100 degrees sometimes. 120 degrees during the day. It was disgusting. That hot weather was gross, man. Lamar says, "What's up with Bosa? Heard he might miss week 1. Oh man, you know, to me, all those reports. I saw those reports. It was Tony Pauline that said that. That's per the source was Tony Pauline. That is the worst source of all time. He was wrong on every single Debo rumor. I'm gonna say it wasn't even. I'm not even gonna use air quotes. What am I doing? Tony Pauline was wrong on every Debo Samuel rumor last year, and I think he's absolutely wrong on the Nick Bosa. Again, remember, people in sports media have to make clicks. They have to make views. They have to get engagement because that is their job. The more clicks they get, the more views they get, the more money they get. So people that are saying Bosa is going to miss week 1, they trying to fatten their pocket. They're trying to get the bag. We all want Nick Bosa to get the bag, but these content creators, I don't even know if I can call them content creators, these sports media people, they're trying to get the bag too. And that's why they're saying Nick. I don't believe the hype. I don't believe the hype that Nick Bosa is not going to be there week 1. I know they'll get it done. They got 4 more weeks. They got, 26 days or something like that. They got 20-something days to get a contract worked out. I'm not worried about it. Nick Bosa will be playing week 1 for the 49ers against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not worried. Tony Pauline. Who? Right, that report came out from nowhere. Who? Tony Pauline. Who? Tony Pauline. Let me see this guy. Tony Pauline, consulting editor and NFL draft analyst at Sportskeeda, lifelong fan and the mightiest band of them all, Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin is in my DNA. Okay, this is the guy that reported Nick Bosa could miss week. This is the guy. Is this your king? This your king? What's up, Ann? How you doing? So that's the way I feel about it. Mr. Clean, I don't believe Mr. Clean. I don't believe it. Let's see. Let's go. Let's read this. This is what he says about Nick Bosa. Let's read his article. We'll give him the click he wants. 49ers dealing with a sticky situation with Nick Bosa's holdout. This is how I think he talks. I'm going to kind of mock him, I guess. The situation with Nick Bosa and Chris Jones is more complicated and likely won't be resolved anytime soon. Sources say there's been very little communication between the player representatives and their respective teams. Bosa is looking for a contract that would match or exceed the deal signed by Aaron Donald. And then he goes on, blah, 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 blah. Sources tell me that Bosa's situation could last a while, and it's not out of the question that the three-time Pro Bowler could miss the start of the season due to contract dispute. Again, it's out of nowhere. And this is the guy that's telling that wrote that. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. That's all. We're going to leave it at that. We're going to leave it at that. He buys hair extensions. For a source. I mean, if Nick Bosa doesn't sign by week 1, I'll be shook. I'll be shook. I'll do something crazy. I don't know. Wow. 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 Crazy. 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 Unbelievable. 5 Tito says Brock is going to choke this year. You know, I hope you're not a Niner fan saying that. That's just silly. Like, if you're a Niner fan, if you're not, that's fine. You're trolling. That's cool. Whatever it is. But if you're a Niner fan and you're saying that, do you want that to happen? It's just weird. It's just weird. Like, why would you predict that if you're a Niner fan? Oh, Brock's going to suck. He's terrible. It's just weird for me to see, like, fans tearing down the players that are on their team. To me. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. It's just weird. There's a lot of weird energy out there. That's how it's been all off season. That's how it's been for a couple of years. Just weird energy anyways. You're not? Okay. Okay. I respect it then. You're not a Niner fan, so I respect it. Because I'd go in other people's team and talk trash. So I get it. It's trash talk. But if you're a Niner fan saying that, because, Tito, we get a lot of fans from the fan base, which is crazy, saying that. So that's why I assume. But carry on. Carry on. It's terrible. I mean, I get it. You're going to be a fan of another team you're going to hate. But it is what it is. But if you were a Niner fan saying it, yeah, that's just crazy. If Bosa doesn't sign, jump on my shoulders and we can tag team those tackles until he gets back. I don't know if I want to do that. I'm going to pass on that one. I'll do something else, but we definitely should do something. Cardinals fan, and I'm not trolling if you feel like that. Cardinals fan, I'm not. I'm going to be nice to you. I'll respect the opinion. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Cardinals, I'm going to let you have your moment because that might be the moment, the only moment you get this season. It's going to be a rough year for you. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you, Tito. Good luck to the Cardinals. You guys had a rough offseason. We suck. At least you know. At least you know. That's tough, man. I don't know. I think if you guys go and get 2 wins this year, hey, you're going to have good draft players next year. So, Smitty must have sent some. He might have. Fucking Smitty might have sent him. Maybe it's Smitty's burner. Smitty 2K. All love, all love. I'm not going to hate on you, man. I respect it. No, I respect it. I'm not even mad at you. Look, see, I'm so cool. I respect people that come in here and hate on the team. It is what it is, man. I'm not unless you like hate on me personally. Or you see something like completely out of left field, or you're like racist or something. It is what it is. Y'all, you can have your thoughts. Everybody does. We all have our opinions. You know, I'm an equal opportunity hater. I'm not gonna hate on anybody else unless you come out and attack me, which you didn't. So, respect. Game recognized game, baby. He's got hitters. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Hopefully, the channel gets growing a little bit, but I think that's a good ending point today. I'm gonna hop on live a little later with 49ers First Takes. We'll be live. We do our weekly show this week. I'm hosting on his, or he's hosting on his. I'm hosting on his. I'll be hopping on his channel. We'll be talking about stuff. So I think 7 p.m. Pacific. I might be on live on Instagram later. Yeah, I'll probably be live on Instagram. That's crazy. We'll see. Appreciate you, Tito. You have a good rest of your day. Everybody else have a good rest of your day. Let's just have a good rest of the week, you know. And last thing, I saw these reports. So this is my crazy thing is everybody's going crazy. I can't believe I didn't touch upon this. Maybe I'll touch upon it later on Instagram. Everybody's still going crazy about these practice reports, like the stats. Like, I don't understand why everybody's keeping up with stats in practice. We talking about, like, I get it. People want to assess us and stuff, but it's not really training camp anymore. It's not really training camp anymore. These are practices leading up to a game. So it's weird that we're still tracking stats. Like, when did reporters all of a sudden think, oh, it's cool to track stats in practice? Like, no other sport tracks stats in practice. And people are so critical. Oh, Brock Purdy almost threw an interception. Oh, Trey Lance almost threw it. It's fucking practice. I don't care if they throw an interception in practice, because people are now they're comparing the practice stats from today to the preseason game. That's a whole practice and preseason game shouldn't even be compared. The stats should not even be compared. Like, you shouldn't even be complaining. You shouldn't even be recording stats in practice. But the fact that people are now comparing the stats in a game to a practice, it's beyond me. Because in practice, you don't have pass rush coming at you. Live bullets aren't there. In a game, you have an actual pass rush. I don't know. I had to get that out of my system because it bugged the hell out of me today when I saw that. I was like, oh my God. I'm glad I'm not like full time on this like I was before, because that's the kind of stuff you have to talk about and report. And I'm going to stick to my day job. But y'all have a good rest of your night. Appreciate y'all. Love you. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff. Make sure you tell your friends. Bang, bang, not a gang. We are out officially. We out.